decade before Crash and Burn had us all wanting to
fight the planet!
Another film revealed the likely outcome of unfettered digital B&E, said planet receiving a uranium makeover. WarGames, starring a pre-Ferris Matthew Broderick, is, like Hackers, a techno-thriller centering on rebellious teens with a light, playful tone. Unlike Hackers, a wafer-thin slice of camp, neon-hued nonsense, this Cold War crowd-pleaser has a semi-plausible plot. Not only did it inspire the likes of this arsehole, it was taken seriously by none other than President Reagan, and actually influenced US policy on cybersecurity. Still, Hackers does boast prime Jolie, so does that. We begin the nuclear begin in the middle of nowhere, the ideal spot for an underground missile silo. Thingy from the West Wing and Mr. Blonde have barely settled in for their shift when the order comes through to watch all missiles! The lieutenant is up for a long-range rumble, but, disturbed by the likely body count, Leo McCommie shows his true colours and fails to turn his key. Seriously, you had one job. Turns out, of course, it was just a test, and at NORAD, a bunch of bigwigs ponder the problem it exposed, that Uncle Sam's ICBM crews are riddled with hippies. Luckily, top tech guy Dr. McKittrick has a solution.
I think we ought to take the men out of the loop.
He proposes plugging NORAD's war-planning supercomputer, the Whopper, directly into the silos, bypassing the human element entirely except at the top. The military men don't like it, but
I think I'm going to recommend McKittrick's idea to the president, and I'll get back to you on this.
You won't regret this.
Cut to Seattle, home to the person who'll make them regret this. David Lightman is a fresh-faced high school student who enjoys hanging at the arcade and sticking it to the man.
All right, Lightman. Maybe you could tell us who first suggested the idea of reproduction without sex.
Your wife?
The correct answer is science is racist.
Get out, Lightman. Get out.
Having impressed Ali Sheedy with his flagrant cockery, he invites her over to his place to reveal how he's going to get out of summer school. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm in a band. We're called Flimsy Pretext.
Her room's upstairs.
Your parents aren't home?
No, they both work.
Explains a lot. Up in his bedroom, he whips out his floppy disk and hacks into their school's computer. It's Matthew Broderick's thing, okay? He then casually alters their biology grades, but, spooked by his edgy criminality, Sheedy has him hit Control-Z before leaving him alone with his anime collection.
Now that's the god I know!
Eventually tiring of his waifu, our hero gets a hankering to try out some rad new games, and sets his PC to work cold-calling half of Silicon Valley in search of their maker's computer. The next day, after Sheedy spoils his fun at the arcade and informs him she's changed her mind or whatever, the pair return to Casa Lightman and, with the flimsy pretext swiftly dispensed with,
I'd like to get my grade changed.
It's funny, actually, because, I already changed it.
they check out what the 2 MHz monster has unearthed. Among the fish flailing in the war-dialing WizKids net are a bank, Pan Am, and...
Doesn't identify itself. Huh. Try anything.
Connection terminated. How rude.
Undeterred, David applies his elite hacking skills
Games refers to models, simulations, and games which have tactical
That must be them.
and obtains a list of the games on this unknown system. What, no Yahtzee? Strangely aroused, they decamp to the local nerd HQ for a confab with 2 gents who are clearly on the ZX spectrum. The odd couple figure the system is military, duh, and will be a tough nut to crack, but David remains determined to play Saddam Hussein's missile command, so the larger nerd offers this advice.
Well, you'll never get in through the frontline security, but you might look for a back door.
Focus, chaps.
Okay, you really want to get in, find out as much as you can about the guy who designed the system.
Aw, come on, I don't even know the guy's name.
Where are you guys dumb? You guys are so dumb. I got this thing all figured out. I figured it out all by myself.
Oh, yeah, Melvin? How would you do it?
The first game on the list. Go right through Falcon's Maze.
David duly reads up on the shadowy Falcon, who it transpires is an expert on AI and Armageddon, and apparently dead. Alas, none of the info he gleans is of any use, until a sweaty Sheedy pops round and he shows her a video.
That's him. That's Falcon.
That's him? Wow. He's amazing looking.
You like older men, eh?
Here's his obituary.
He wasn't very old.
Oh, he was pretty old. He was 41.
Oh, yeah? Oh, that's old.
Yeah, who could be that old? Sheedy is saddened to read of the earlier deaths of his wife and young son, whereupon David has an epiphany.
What was his name?
My father?
No. Falcon's kid.
Joshua.
Can't be that simple.
But Falcon belongs to the same password-setting school as John Podesta, so yes, it is that simple. David exchanges pleasantries with the Mystery Machine, which is, of course, the Whopper, and then it's down to business.
Shall we play a game?
Yes, indeed. And since Fallout won't be released for another 14 years, there can be only one choice.
Let's play Global Thermonuclear War.
Fine.
All right.
Which side do you want?
I'll be the Russians.
Huge surprise, you Hollywood pinko. David enters some targets, well, fair enough, and launches his nukes, which promptly show up as real nukes at NORAD. Switch on the rotating light! The old man is summoned, and as our oblivious teens enjoy the clean chemical taste of tab, he takes us to DEFCON 3 and telephones the Gipper.
Mr. President, this is Barringer at NORAD.
But before Ronnie can stick it to the evil empire, David's parents belatedly do some actual parenting, forcing him to log off. The kid remains blissfully unaware of the shit show he caused until he learns the truth from the TV, if you can imagine that, and with Sheedy silenced, he starts frantically bagging those dot matrix printouts. Suddenly, he gets another call. From the Whopper. And it's still playing!
What is the primary goal?
To win the game.
Line 10, print, oh no! Line 20, go to 10! Acting like everything's fine, David later pops out for a big gulp, but is inevitably nabbed by some totally not obvious G-men. They bring him to NORAD, where a second blame-assigning conclave is in session. Strickland? Jesus, didn't that guy ever have hair?
Well, we can find the password and take it out, but it might help to beef up security around the Whopper.
No, beef up. How about screwed up? We did all that and he broke in again.
Kid says your computer called him.
What the hell is going on, John?
McKittrick is dispatched to talk to the boy, and after taking him to his office, goes full McCarthy on his punk ass.
Now, you had reservations for 2 to Paris. Who are you working with?
Nobody.
Why don't I believe you?
The interrogation is interrupted, though, by the news that someone has stolen the codes to
Launch all missiles!
McKittrick says he can change them, and they only work at DEFCON 1, but the General isn't taking any chances, so... Left unattended, David sneaks in another tete-a-tete with the Whopper, which confirms his worst fears. Yes, it's still playing, and there's more at stake than bragging rights on r/gaming.
Is this a game, or is it real?
What's the difference?
Oh, wow.
On the upside, before he's yanked away from the terminal, it also blurts out Falcon's classified address. Falcon's alive! Unable to get the adults to listen,
Get that little bastard out of the war room!
Said bastard is reconfined to the infirmary, but with Sergeant Sleazy more interested in boffing the nurse than watching the nerd, it doesn't take him long to MacGyver his way out. Evading Strickland via some convenient ducts, he completes his escape by joining an even more convenient departing tour group. See, that's just... I'm all for open government, but honestly... Several degrading transactions later, David is dropped off at the world's most picturesque phone booth location, and after getting freaky with a PH, attempts to contact Falcon. Alas, the operator has no listing for the logged off prof, so instead he calls and asks her to book him a flight to Oregon. Arriving in the Beaver State, our hero gets more beaver than he bargained for.
Surprise!
The reunited duo leap aboard the ferry to the island where Falcon resides, and David updates a skeptical Sheedy on the dire sitch. Having disembarked and been buzzed by a pterodactyl, they finally meet their reclusive quarry, who politely invites them to F off until David plays the dead kid card.
I came because of Joshua.
Meanwhile, in the war room...
Radar reports 2 unknown tracks are penetrating the Alaskan air defense zone.
Confidence is high. Go to DEFCON 2.
Well, that all seems under control. Back at Falcon's, we discover the prof's personal tragedies have turned him into an unhinged hippie who's fine with mankind going the way of the dinos.
Extinction is part of the natural order.
Bullshit!
The kids try to talk some sense into him, but the dude is seriously black-pilled.
Look, we might gain a few years, perhaps time enough for you to have a son and watch him die. But humanity planning its own destruction, that a phone call won't stop.
This is unreal. You don't care about death because you're already dead.
So they leave, and, since they missed the last ferry, look around for a boat. Sheedy proposes skinny dipping instead, but sadly, David reveals he can't swim. Cue gentle mockery, followed by a profoundly melancholy moment as he reflects on the sheer scale of the impending tragedy.
Oh, Jesus. I really wanted to learn how to swim.
Pathos! Luckily, there is still time for a crafty snog, though it's interrupted by the approach of a...
It's all right. Get in.
Falcon ain't so dead after all. To NORAD then, where the game is entering its final phase.
General, DBS is tracking 300 inbound Soviet ICBMs.
All right. Flush the bombers, get the subs in launch mode. We are at DEFCON 1.
DEFCON 1? That's it. Yes, it's war.
Has he been in touch with the Premier?
Russians are still denying everything, sir. We have a Soviet submarine launch detection.
Let's go into a launch mode. Close up the mountain.
Team Falcon race to get there before the awesome door closes, and after an unscripted crash and a long tunnel dash, they make it with seconds to spare. Finally, they reach the war room, and it's time for the formerly nutty professor to save the world.
Hello, General Barringer. Stephen Falcon.
Mr. Falcon, you picked a hell of a day for a visit.
General, what you see on these screens up here is a fantasy, a computer-enhanced hallucination. Those blips are not real missiles, they're phantoms. Are you prepared to destroy the enemy?
You betcha.
Do you think they know that?
I believe we've made that clear enough.
Note to Jeremy Corbyn, this is why you leave zero doubt in anyone's mind that you'll retaliate if necessary, you dumb fuck.
Then don't. Tell the president to ride out the attack.
Sir, they need a decision.
Since he isn't a dumb fuck, Beringer puts the counter-strike on hold pending physical confirmation of the supposed shower of Soviet inbounds. They call up the bases they're told will be hit first, and then wait to see if they're wrong and those damn Russian hackers have pulled off a dastardly double bluff.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Impact.
This is Crystal Palace. You still on? Anyone there?
That's affirmative, sir. Yeah, we're here.
Not today. But before they can start fornicating on their consoles, we discover the fries ordered with this Whopper can't be cancelled.
Sir, we got a problem. Whopper's not letting me log back on.
They can't get in to stand down the missiles.
What are those?
Those are launch codes.
What are they for?
Joshua's trying to find the right code so he can launch the missiles himself.
Line 15, print. Ooh, the humanity! McKittrick breaks the news to the General and explains that if they pull the plug, the missiles will launch anyway.
Mr. McKittrick, after very careful consideration, sir, I've come to the conclusion that your new defense system sucks.
I don't have to take that, you pig-eyed sack of shit.
Disregard the Navy regulations.
I say again, I order you to replace the XO.
With just minutes to go before the Whopper obtains the codes, it looks as if Sheedy and the other females are in for a lot of underground breeding.
There would be much time and little to do.
But then, sadly, David gets an idea.
I told you not to start playing games with that thing.
It's games. Games!
Try it.
With the General's blessing, he tries to get the machine to play a different game, and when that fails, to quit the current one. Then he remembers something Falcon mentioned back on the island.
It's not on the list.
What's not on the list?
Tick, tack, toe.
You're in.
He plays a game, and of course it's a draw.
There's no way you can win that game.
I know that. It doesn't. It hasn't learned.
And so he tells the Whopper to play with itself to teach it about futility, which sounds about right.
Come on. Learn, goddammit.
The tic-tac-toe-a-thon gets increasingly intense until...
Ken, it's got the code. It's going to launch.
Somebody order fries? But instead of releasing the birds, it runs through all of its WW3 scenarios.
What's it doing?
It's learning.
Try the Sealand surprise. And the result of all this mental masturbation? It goes full MGTOW.
Strange game. The only winning move is not to play. How about a nice game of chess?
Whopper, you magnificent silicon bastard. And with that, the game and an 80s classic are over. Insert coin? Not if I've got a ring pull handy.
Here's a wink, then misses a wink, next then is a wink, then life as we know it.